Hi everybody, it's Andrew Hutchings with you here tonight. In this video, still not a doctor, still not giving medical advice, just consolidating medical information and giving an opinion along with it. So this video is about what is the difference between the different aromatase inhibitors. And let's just make it about all estrogen drugs in general. Not all of them, but the typical ones. So how is tamoxifen, or Nolvadex, different from anastrozole or Arimidex? How is Arimidex different from Aromacin? Let's find out. So first of all, there are two general classes. Two. SERMs, selective estrogen receptor modulators, which bind to the estrogen receptor and antagonize it, sending a signal like there's no estrogen there. And they block estrogen from binding. Then there are the aromatase inhibitors, which prevent an aromatizable steroid or testosterone from turning into estrogen. So the aromatase inhibitor prevents there from being estrogen to begin with, and then the SERM prevents it from binding, because it can't get that way. So you can actually take them both together. You can lower your actual estrogen in your body with the aromatase inhibitor, while also blocking that lesser amount you now have from binding. It's really that simple. And SERMs work instantly, while an aromatase inhibitor is instantly effective at its pharmacological action, as in it instantly blocks aromatase. It takes a while before that effect leads to an overall lowering of your estrogen. Because think about it, your estrogen is up here, and you're blocking your body from making more. Well, it takes a while for this estrogen to get metabolized and go down. So if you have too much estrogen, you probably want to instantly block it from binding with the SERM and toss in the aromatase inhibitor so that it doesn't go higher and it, over the course of the next few days, goes lower. So what is the difference between anastrozole, which is Arimidex, and exemestane, which is Aromacin? So that aromatase enzyme, this is aromatase enzyme, so the Arimidex will bind to it, preventing the other steroids or testosterone from binding to it. So kind of like the SERM blocks the estrogen receptor, the anastrozole blocks the aromatase enzyme, the enzyme which converts your stuff into estrogen or estrogen-like compounds. Whereas the exemestane, the Aromacin, if I just said Aromacin a minute ago, I meant Arimidex. So now on the topic of the exemestane, the Aromacin, instead of just binding to that aromatase enzyme, it actually binds to it and then makes a permanent bind to it, and it never comes off. So you're basically like killing the enzymes. So your Arimidex is just going to temporarily bind to it, it can come off, it can go back on. It's just, most of the time it's going to be bound to it. But you know, the way the human body works, just because something binds to something, it doesn't mean it's on there non-stop. It's spending it's like going on and off and on and off, but it's like mostly here, then it comes off, mostly here, then it comes off a little, mostly here, then it comes off. But your exemestane, your Aromacin, it will never come off. It hits it and then grabs onto it. That enzyme is never going to touch another molecule again. It's never going to work again. So that is a benefit of your exemestane, the Aromacin, over Arimidex. Because while Arimidex and anastrozole should block aromatization, you still have that aromatase enzyme there, and it's just most of the time bound to the Arimidex. But some of the time it's still not bound to it. Everything is in a state of fluctuation. So like even if something, okay, I'm not going to try that. That's a whole different video. But yeah, even if it's bound to it, it just means that it's bound to it way, 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 way more often than it's not bound to it. Unless it's like the exemestane, which permanently binds to it, which is called a suicide inhibitor. And if you want to get into the chemistry a little bit more, it makes covalent bonds, whereas the arimidex, your anastrozole, forms non-covalent bonds. I don't want to get too deep into that stuff because it doesn't concern you most likely. But your exemestane forms permanent covalent bonds. That enzyme is out of commission forever. So it's possible that you may not react well, or it may not be strong enough for you to use the arimidex, because if you have a ton of estrogen, maybe you even have some estrogen derivatives from your steroids that have an even higher binding affinity to the so the steroids have a higher binding affinity to the aromatase enzyme. They can really do some competition for the arimidex. So just because the arimidex blocks the aromatase enzyme doesn't mean that you don't take some steroid and give it a good competition. It's mostly blocking that goal. It's like a soccer player. But you kick enough balls in there and you kick them in fast enough with the good soccer players, and even though there's a goalie there blocking them, there's still going to be some getting through. Whereas if you take the aromacin, you took a big old crane with a cinder block on top of it, and you just crushed that goal. That goal is no longer there. It's impossible. Nothing can go in it. It's not there anymore. So to rehash that, you have your SERMs like tamoxifen, clomiphene, raloxifene, which bind to and block the estrogen receptor, meaning other estrogens cannot bind to it. Then you have your aromatase inhibitors, which bind to and block or take out of commission your aromatase enzymes, preventing them from making more estrogen. That's all, people. Hope you like this video. Hope it helps you out, make some good decisions. Oh yeah, another thing is, because your stuff like arimidex, it only binds to it, then it unbinds to it. So like when you look at the half-life of arimidex, when the arimidex wears off, let's call it, because it's complicated, but when the arimidex leaves your body, that enzyme is instantly there to make more estrogen. Whereas if you use the aromacin, the exemestane, it takes it out of commission. So even when the exemestane leaves your body needs to make more aromatase enzymes, get your aromatase enzymes back up to speed, and then those aromatase enzymes can get your estrogen back up to speed. So you've got a lot more safety wiggle room when you go off of a suicide inhibitor like aromacin than you do if you go off of arimidex. Because you go off of arimidex, in a couple of days, all of a sudden, all your aromatase enzymes are free to make a ton of estrogen. So I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe. Check out my Instagram, natural_true_fitness. My website is coming soon. You can hire me for lots of good things. I'll make sure you get a lot of bang for your buck. Coming soon is my book on tendinitis, how to permanently get rid of it for good. You don't need to waste your money going to doctors that won't fix the problem. Save the money going to the doctor. Save the money from going back to the doctor. Save the money from going back to the doctor the third and the fourth time, and then to your physical therapist multiple times. And plus, on top of that, when you go to the doctor and the physical therapist, chances are you still have your tendinitis. So get the tendinitis fixed, get my book, learn how to fix it, save all that money and time from the doctors, and lead a happy life. I also offer coaching, like what to do in the gym, diet advice, supplement advice, medical consolidation of information along with my opinion, and any kind of coaching, whatever you want.